Trying to conceive after a vasectomy reversal isn't always a smooth ride, is it? The excitement of maybe this is the month can quickly turn into disappointment when things don't go as planned. And when setbacks like miscarriages hit, it can feel like the dream of having your baby is slipping further away. I get it, and so does Sydney Clark. In this episode, Sydney opens up about her heart-wrenching journey through 2 vasectomy reversals, a miscarriage, and the emotional roller coaster that almost led her to give up. But her story doesn't end there. Tune in to hear how Sydney kept her hope alive, found peace in God's timing, and ultimately brought home her rainbow baby. If you've ever questioned if your miracle will ever come, you don't want to miss this one. Feeling like this whole baby making journey is never going to work out? You've done it all, diet changes, supplements, tracking your cycle, and yet the pregnancy test is negative. It's so frustrating, and you're asking yourself, why isn't this happening for us? I'm Susan Gladstein, a holistic fertility coach and mom to 7, including 2 miracle babies after a vasectomy reversal, and I get it. Being told everything looks fine by doctors while still feeling stuck can leave you feeling hopeless and confused. On this podcast, I'll share practical, natural ways to support your fertility without all the overwhelm. Forget the everything's normal talk and the rush into fertility treatments. I'm here to show you a better way. If you're ready to take practical steps that fit with God's plan for your family, you're in the right place. I truly believe that you can have the baby you've been praying for. I am so excited to have Sydney here with me today. We connected because of the vasectomy reversal groups, but also just a love of all things VRs and fertility, just like the science behind it and kind of geeking out. But I was really touched by her journey, her story that spans like 4 years of ups and downs and all the things. And so thank you for joining us and just being open to be raw and real about all the things in your journey.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I actually love talking about it. And whenever we're in like group settings, I gravitate towards those women who are like open books who just want to talk about all things fertility, infertility, what their family is currently going through. I just love listening, being a listening ear to them and sharing my story with them just to give them some hope and encouragement. So thank you for letting me share.
Yeah, I too feel like I'm an open book and I love talking about all things. So this is awesome. I would love if you just kind of could tell us how it all went down. How did you get into do a reversal? Now you guys had to do a redo. So I
Mhm.
want to know about that, but kind of walk us through this journey that's ultimately led to your baby.
Yes, I am holding my 3-month-old right now, and I just feel so, so, so thankful and blessed to have her. But we actually started this journey in 2020. I found the reversal group on Facebook after talking with my husband. We're like, okay, we really want one baby together because he has 2 children with his ex-wife, and I have a son with my ex as well. So we wanted one baby together. So we did a lot of research, found the group, and we thought it would be a really simple process because I saw stories on the group that were like, hey, we just got our reversal. We're pregnant 1 month later. We lived happily ever after. So I thought that might work for us too. So we actually got on a plane and flew to Arkansas for the first reversal. And we saw Dr. Stanton, and he actually prayed with us before the reversal and just said, I'm a man of God. I think if it's meant to be, it will be. So it's either going to work or it's not. And those were his exact words. So that kind of stuck with me. And whenever we found out that it didn't work, we were, asking ourselves, well, is it not meant to be because it didn't work? Should we give up? Was this, God saying, hey, it's not what I intend for your lives. So we were discouraged for about 2 years with that reversal failing. So in 2022, we just got back into church and really just started praying like, God, is this really you telling us no, or were you just telling us to wait? Should we try again? We just didn't know what to do. So we just spoke with our friends and family and prayed a lot about it. And we really just felt led to try again. So I didn't want to go in blindly like I did last time and naive and just be like, okay, it'll work or it doesn't. It's just that simple. But what I found out after doing a lot of research was there were steps that needed to be taken before a vasectomy reversal. So what I learned is that his hormones must be, you know, up to par for a reversal because after a vasectomy, their bodies are all out of whack. So you actually have to get their hormones in check before a vasectomy reversal, because that could be a reason why it won't work. It's not just about getting the surgery, it's about getting the man's hormones correct. The woman's hormones aren't just the only factor in fertility. So we found a really great fertility doctor in North Carolina and we went to see him. And the first thing he said was, okay, let's do some blood work. So we did that, and it came back that my husband's reproductive hormones were zero. All of his LH, his FSH, everything was zero. So even if the surgery itself would have worked with the first reversal, we still would have been unsuccessful getting pregnant because his hormones were zero. It just wouldn't have worked. So I'm so thankful that we found Dr. Coward. And the first thing he said was, okay, we have to get him on fertility meds before we even talk about doing the redo reversal because there's no point in doing it if the hormones are not good. So my husband had to take Clomid and HCG injections for 6 months before the redo. And we had to go in about every 60 days to get blood redrawn just to make sure his hormones were rising before the redo. And once they were at an optimal level, Dr. Coward said, okay, we're good to proceed with the redo. It was really intense because the first reversal was in office. It took about an hour. It was not an in depth surgery. And then the redo was 5 hours long. And there was a lot of scar tissue in there. There was still just a lot that he had to do. And he even did a different type of vasectomy reversal for the redo. And that's a whole nother conversation, too, just that there's two different types of reversals. The first one was just a simple connection, just kind of undoing the vasectomy. The redo reversal was a very complex surgery that was not just connecting the tubes from the vasectomy. It was actually a complete bypass that he had to do, and it was just very, very complex. And that was very shocking to us that the first doctor didn't even mention when he was doing the first one that we would need the complex surgery.
Well, and my husband had the VEVE also, the more complex one.
Hmm.
Um, and even just because I know there's a lot of doctors that don't even do that procedure, and you and I had talked about how important it is to really like research your doctors. That was one of the things when we first started talking about it. We're military, and obviously it wouldn't be covered by insurance, but my husband was like, well, let's just go to the VA and get it done. And I was, this is not something that I'm willing to like put to chance. We live
Hmm.
in Arizona, so like when I went online and found dadsagain.com with Dr. Marks, I was like, I don't know, it almost like the angels sung hallelujah when I opened up the website. And
Hmm.
so I just knew he was the guy that we were going to go to. Unfortunately, he's extremely knowledgeable and very positive, but I know a lot of people don't get that same feedback from their doctors as far as
Hmm.
their optimism for success. And that in of itself can be stressful. And if you're stressed, you're not going to be very fertile. But I know that you wanted to touch on the fact that finding the right doctor, like not leaving that to chance, was very important to your journey.
Yes. So when I found our first reversal doctor, on his website and in person, he told us that he offered the VV and the VE. And he said that he would know when he went in which surgery to perform. So that was, what gave me a lot of hope. Like, oh, he does both. But, after that happened and we went to our second reversal doctor and seeing the difference between an 1 hour reversal in office versus an actual reversal that was in a hospital setting that took 5 hours, that's a huge difference. And a very, very complex surgery was needed for us to be able to have a chance. So I'm so glad that I researched which doctors were actually doing surgeries in a hospital and were able to offer a very complex reversal versus just an in office that's very similar to a vasectomy. Because if we wouldn't have done the very, very complex reversal, then I don't think it would have ever worked. The research that I did was just looking for doctors that were, like I said, able to perform a reversal in a hospital setting and had more to offer than just doing the surgery in office and never speaking to us again. I wanted a doctor that had aftercare that would follow up with us, that offered semen analysis afterwards to see if it worked, that was able to prescribe medication for, anti-inflammatories and fertility meds if needed. Just one that I knew, that actually cared, like you said, about our success and was really passionate about, this being it. Like, we do not want you to have to go through another surgery. So I found that in Dr. Coward just by doing my own online research. Also, Dr. Coward offered sperm banking, which I think is super important for couples who, I know IVF is, you know, a personal preference, but he offered that. And I think that's really amazing because if your reversal doesn't work with him, you have sperm banked. That way you can pursue IVF if needed.
Yeah, we
So,
had the same kind of thing with Dr. Marks. And I will say that for us, the aftercare was hugely important. I did a podcast episode about this, but on the second analysis, so Dr. Marks is of the opinion to get analysis done every 4 weeks because if there's any kind of inflammation, blockages, those sort of things, it's better to catch it earlier than later. And I know that's not the school of thought for everyone, but I tend to agree with that just because like understanding inflammation and healing that process. But our sperm count went to 0 on our second analysis. And I was devastated, like, oh my gosh, this is the end. And Dr. Marks was like, that's quite normal, actually. Like, we'll fix it. It's fine. And so,
mhm.
like, that gave me hope just in his belief in that. And of course, the next test we did was amazing. And it continued to rise from there. But having that and catching it early on, I think was so important, and something to consider when you're trying to go through this process, right?
Yes.
But what advice would you have for people like that are either in the wait, contemplating? I mean, especially in the wait, like you guys waited a long time and had several setbacks. I mean, you had miscarriages along the way, right?
Yes. So we started this journey in 2020 and then had to do the redo reversal in 2022. And that was in February of 2022. So we actually got pregnant the same year. We got pregnant in September of 2022. And we were like, wow, that was nothing like our last experience. We waited 2 years of trying between 2020 and 2022 just hoping it would work, and then it didn't. Did the redo. 7 months later, got pregnant naturally, and we were like, wow, it worked. This was meant to be. We were just so so excited. And then we had a 12-week missed miscarriage, and that is something I have never been through before. And it was another one of those thoughts like, okay, is this not meant to be? The first one didn't work. We had to go through a second one, and then we lost the baby, and we were really just like, is this not our path? Are we supposed to be doing something else? And it was just devastating. And we took about 6 months just to grieve that loss and just to pray and just get our lives back on track, because that really just threw us for a loop. And like I said, it took about 6 months to recover from that. And then we were like, okay, let's call Dr. Coward and see if, we're even able to get pregnant again. And, sperm counts after reversals can go down, very quick. They can scar over. Like, time is not on your side, is what they say when you have a reversal. So we were like, okay, next steps. We contact the doctor, and they're like, no, everything actually looks great on your husband's end. He should be good to go to try again. And then I started having problems. So then it turned into me having fertility issues after my husband had been through two reversals and fertility meds. So I was like, wow, this really just must not be what we're supposed to be doing. But something in me just, I couldn't let it go. I couldn't let the dream go of us having our rainbow baby. And I just give God the credit though for my drive and my just I just could not give up. It just felt like it wasn't an option for me. So I was like, okay, he went through the two surgeries and fertility meds. It's my turn now. I can do it. We can get through this. So I had to seek out my own fertility doctor. So my husband was seeing his own doctor 1 hour one way, and I was seeing a female fertility doctor 1 hour in the other direction. So we started off with, my blood work, which they said was normal, but they just couldn't find out why I wasn't having a cycle. I wasn't ovulating. I was just going months and months without ovulation. So they said, okay, blood work's great. We'll start you on our fertility meds, letrozole, and trigger shots and see if that works. So I was like, okay, this is going to work. We're going to probably go in first or second time and it's just going to work. I was just very naive to that too, that, sometimes it takes several tries with fertility meds to get pregnant. And they said, we'll just try the timed intercourse where you come in after your trigger shot. We confirm ovulation on the ultrasound, and none of that worked for us. They said, well, you can move on to IUI if you'd like, or take a break. This was us trying at the end of 2023 at this point. So, mind you, that's a long time between us getting pregnant and just, you know, trying to finally get pregnant again. That's a long time. So, this was around Christmas in 2023 where another time cycle did not work. And we were like, okay, let's enjoy the holidays. We have a cruise coming up for New Year's. We were going to go on our first cruise as a family. And we said, we're just going to give it time. We're going to take a break. We're going to enjoy the holidays with our families, and we'll see what happens next year. So we go on a cruise in January, New Year's of 2024. And 2 weeks later, I had a positive pregnancy test. And this was not, you know, a fertility cycle success story. This is just God stepping in and saying, this year you're having your rainbow baby. You went through so much the last few years. You you kept going, you kept trying, and I just feel like it was God saying, now is the time, and I just want to show you that it was all in my timing, all in my plan. And no matter what we did, no matter what we tried, no matter what medicines we tried, nothing worked except for just not giving up. And for us to get pregnant naturally, just after all these failed cycles and failed medications, and oh, it's just an incredible miracle. And now I'm just sitting here rocking my 3-month-old baby, and it just feels like a dream, honestly.
Oh my gosh, it's probably my own pregnancy hormones. It's making me tear up about that. But like I had a loss earlier this year as well, and I at the time I was just so angry. It was like we weren't really planning on it. It was like did not align with my plans, and when I finally came around to like accepting and being excited about it, I lost it. And my current due date is the same day that I miscarried, and I felt like it was God telling me he had it. It was all okay, but like that situation really strengthened, I guess, my faith. It changed the direction. I quit my job. I brought my toddler home to homeschool. Like there was a lot of purpose, I guess, in the pain, which is not
Mhm.
always easy when you're going through it to see. But I think that I really love kind of just your message that you just didn't give up.
Yeah, and I resonate with what you said just about being angry. I'm telling you, I was a very angry person after my loss. I was just like, you know what? We spent thousands of dollars on this reversal and then another reversal, more money, more time, more everything. And I just feel like we put everything into it and we got so excited. And then to lose her, at 12 weeks along, I was like, God, why? Why would you allow us to get pregnant? And then it happened this way, it ended this way. And I was devastated. I was angry. I was depressed. And I was just at home one day by myself and just feeling horrible, just in the darkest point of my life. And I was like, God, why did this happen to me? And I just, felt him come to me and just say, Sydney, it's going to be okay. It's going to work out. And it did. And I actually created my own Facebook group on Facebook after the loss just for local moms that have also lost their babies. And I just felt like, I need to reach out to other people because if other women are hurting the way I'm hurting, like, I don't want them to do that alone? So I just found peace in God and in helping other women just work through their pain and just listening because that's what helped me get through the loss was talking about it. So I just wanted other moms to have the same opportunity and be able to talk about it freely and work through it. And, I felt like I got through the loss with God and I was like, okay, God, I'm ready for my rainbow baby now. I was ready, as soon as I lost that baby, I was ready again. I was like, I'm ready now, Lord. I know that there's purpose in the pain. You have a plan for me, but I'm ready for my rainbow baby now. So for us to have to wait so long afterwards, there was definitely times where I was like, you know, do you really have me, God? Are you really working this all out for me? I was definitely questioning it sometimes, but when I really sat down and, talked with God, like I said, I just didn't give up, didn't give up. And we got pregnant with the baby that we lost in September of 2022. And then I gave birth to our rainbow baby in September of 2024. So I just feel like that was God, just kind of like you said, just saying, you know what, I did work it out. You went through something horrible, but it it grew my faith. It made me a better person. It made me a better mom. And just everything we went through has gotten us to this point. And from 2020 to now it's about to be 2025, I can just honestly say that everything that we went through was worth it, even though it was very, very hard. And there were some awful times, but it was worth it. So, my advice to the people who are about to start anything fertility related is just keep your eyes on the prize because it might take you 6 months, but it might take you 6 years. So, if you just keep seeking God throughout the entire process and just keep your eye on the prize. Like, we will have our blessing, one day. It might not be tomorrow, but it's going to be one day. Just don't give up, no matter how hard it gets.
Gosh, I love that. And it's so true because I see a lot of that in my practice of people that, they hit some setbacks or things don't go as quickly as they plan, and then it's hard and they just want to give up. And I think that that's when it's so important to like lean into your faith. I know I've said this before, but I've heard God the most loudly, however you would say that, and the most clearly in my deepest and darkest pain.
Yes.
When I struggled after my miscarriage and I was so angry, I audibly heard the Lord tell me, I know, I lost my son too. And in that moment, I didn't feel alone. I didn't feel forgotten. I felt heard and I felt loved. And that when I look at my baby now, like I just think, had I given up, like my husband and I look at us all the time, at each other all the time, and we say, what would we be doing right now without her? Like, because all of our other kids are grown and out of the house, but we were like, we would have missed out on this crazy blonde nut that we have. Just us laughing and on our toes. Like, had we not leaned into that calling that God placed on our hearts. And I think that that's always my biggest message to all of my clients. Like, if God placed it on your heart to have a baby, he's going to see it through. And it may not look the way you think it'll look. It may not happen as fast as you think it will. But if he placed it on your heart, he will see it through.
Yes, I agree. I just think back to all the times that we could have given up, just even just as individuals, not even as a couple. Everything my husband had to go through, he could have been like, you know what, hey, I'm calling it. Two reversals, fertility meds that make you feel all crazy. He could have said, hey, it's not going to work out, but he didn't. And me also as an individual, I was going through the timed cycles with my fertility doctor and I kept going in and they kept saying it's not working. The meds aren't working. Your follicles aren't growing. You're not ovulating. It's just not working. I could have said, okay, my body is not doing what it's supposed to. I could have given up. I could have said, you know what, no more medicine for me either. But the calling was just there. And not only individually did we not give up, and even though it was very, very hard, as a couple, we kept coming back to each other like, hey, I know you feel horrible right now. You feel crazy on these meds, but we're doing this for a reason and I'm here for you. I support you. It was really a team effort getting through this journey because I'm telling you, and because you see this, I'm sure in your practice, just infertility is hard on couples. It just is. And I did not want to be that couple that ended, in divorce, or I know several people they've ended in divorce because of infertility. And I did not want to be that statistic. So me and my husband just kept having to have these conversations, check-ins, even if it was daily check-ins, just to make sure we both are feeling loved, we're feeling supported, we are just moving in the right direction instead of going backwards. We just had to, as a couple, say, hey, we're a team. Even though one of us is on meds right now, we need to be a team, not take it out on the other. So yeah, it was a team effort, definitely, to get through the last 4 years of
Yeah.
trying to have a baby.
Well, and what a fantastic foundation that you have now created for your baby and all of your kids, you know, a blended family. It's not easy. But I just want to say thank you for being so open and real and honest and all the things with your story and helping bring, you know, faith and love and hope to people who are in their weight. But before I jump off, I just want to know if you had to give someone some advice on how to stay hopeful in their journey, what would you say?
My advice is just to keep God at the center of this entire journey. And also, don't be scared to reach out and talk to literally anyone. If it's a woman at church, if it's a woman in the grocery store, if it's a woman at a gathering that you are speaking to, just don't be afraid to reach out because you have no idea what the next woman is going through. And you might get a lifetime best friend and a whole lot of support that you desperately need through this journey. So reach out. Don't suffer alone, whether you're going through miscarriage or infertility, just anything like that. Don't be scared to reach out because this journey, I feel like, was a lot easier to get through because I was such an open book with other people that we were able to check in with each other. Me and all the girls in my group that were going through infertility and loss, we were able to check in with each other and be there for each other when we needed support. And I really, really am so thankful that I wasn't scared to share because I found out that a lot of women were going through the same thing as me.
That's so powerful. I truly believe that God didn't create us to do life alone. We're meant to do things in community. So I appreciate that. And is your group open to people? Like if somebody's listening to this podcast and like they're struggling because they've miscarried, is your group open to have more people?
Oh, yes, yes, always open, and I can send you the link too.
Okay. And I'll
And
make sure that that's
yeah.
in the show notes to have if someone's struggling that they can be part of your community as well. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to share your story. And I just appreciate you so much. And make sure you give that baby lots of kisses from me and not in a creepy way.
I sure will. Yes, not in a creepy way. You understand. You understand what we went through and these babies that come to us after loss and infertility, they're just such a blessing, even more, than normal. Such a blessing. And I just love sharing our story. So thank you for listening.
I appreciate you. And we'll talk soon.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me on Conceiving After Vasectomy Reversal. I hope you're feeling encouraged and more hopeful on your journey to growing your family. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little extra support. I absolutely love reading your reviews. They mean the world to me. Like seriously, words of affirmation are my love language. So let's stay connected. Find me on Instagram at Conceiving After VR and join our Conceiving After Vasectomy Reversal Facebook community for even more support and encouragement. I believe that God placed the desire for a child on your heart for a reason, and I'm grateful to walk alongside you in this season, to encourage you, and to help you find joy in the journey, trusting that His plan is greater than we could ever imagine.
Thanks for listening.